In your younger years, you might have feared loneliness. You chased conversations, filled your calendar, attended every family gathering even when your heart begged for silence. But now, in your 60s, 70s, or even 80s, you find something strange yet peaceful. You enjoy your own company. You sit by the window watching the birds. You sip tea without the need for small talk, and you feel more peace in a quiet room than in a crowded one. And maybe someone around you doesn't understand this. They ask, why don't you go out more? Why don't you visit the neighbors? Why are you always home alone? Let me tell you something important. You are not broken. You are becoming wise. What others call isolation may actually be self-preservation, healing, and clarity. There comes a time in life when being alone doesn't mean being lonely. It means being whole. You see, after a certain age, we stop pretending. We've learned, often the hard way, that not every gathering nourishes us. Some people drain us. Some conversations feel hollow. Some invitations come wrapped in expectations, not love. So you begin to choose differently. You don't visit to impress. You don't respond out of guilt. You don't show up for applause. You start showing up for yourself. And that, my dear elder, is not sadness, it's growth. Why you prefer to be alone now, and why it's deeply wise. When you prefer your own company in your older years, it is often a sign of something profound. Emotional maturity. You've spent decades trying to be everything for everyone. A good spouse, a present parent, a loyal friend, a helpful neighbor, but now, you are finally returning home. To yourself, you no longer chase shallow company. You value silence more than noise. You'd rather read a book than argue with a fool. You'd rather water your plants than beg someone for attention. This is not antisocial, this is sacred. The world is loud. The news, the screens, the gossip, the complaints, they clutter the mind. But solitude cleans it. It makes you hear your own soul whispering things you once ignored. You start seeing through people. When you spend more time alone, you develop a kind of emotional X-ray vision. You see people not by what they say but by how they make you feel. You notice who listens and who only waits to speak. You notice who shows up when you're sick, not just when you're successful. You begin to distance yourself from fake smiles and forced company because now, peace matters more than popularity. And that's wisdom, real wisdom. Solitude heals what others can't. Many seniors carry wounds no one sees. The betrayal of a friend, the coldness of a spouse, the silence of grown-up children. Society says, move on, but the heart says, heal slowly. Solitude is not the enemy here, it is the medicine. When you're alone, you finally allow those old memories to surface without judgment. You write in your journal, you cry without explanation. You forgive not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. You realize healing is not something someone else gives you. It is something you give yourself in quiet moments. And in those quiet moments, you become stronger, softer, wiser. You become your own best friend. Isn't it beautiful? At 65 or 75, you can sit on a porch and enjoy your thoughts. You can take a walk and notice the trees, not your phone. You can look in the mirror and not criticize yourself, but simply smile and say, I made it. I'm still here. I'm enough. The world teaches us to fear being alone. But in truth, being alone is the beginning of intimacy with your spirit. You learn what you really love. You eat when you're hungry, not when it's expected. You wear what feels soft, not what looks trendy. You pray when you want. You rest when you need. You discover that your own presence is a gift. That's the kind of friendship no one else can give you. You finally become the person you needed all along. Why you no longer chase validation. Another quiet miracle happens when you choose solitude. You stop caring what others think. In youth, we chase validation. Did they like me? Was I invited? Am I good enough? But after 65, something changes. You stop chasing the crowd and start following your inner compass. You realize that not everyone will understand you, and that's okay. You stop explaining your silence, you stop justifying your choices, and you start building a life that feels good, even if it looks quiet to others. Now, you plant seeds of peace, not approval. You rest without guilt, you speak kindly, but not to be liked. You walk away without a grudge. That is not cold, that is spiritual strength. A message to those who still don't understand. If someone tells you, you've changed, just smile gently and say yes, I've learned to love myself more. If someone says, you're always alone, respond with grace. I enjoy my own company more than noise. And if someone ever dares to say, you're old and irrelevant, lift your head and reply, I may be old, but I carry decades of wisdom that your busy mind hasn't tasted yet. Final words, you are not lonely. You are wise, dear elder, if you prefer to be alone, outrust yourself. Your soul knows what it needs. Don't let the world rush you, guilt you, or shame you for being quiet. You've earned your peace, you've earned your calm. It's not loneliness you feel, it's the sound of your heart finally breathing without interruption. Because sometimes, being alone is not a sign of sadness. It is a sign that you've reached the deepest level of peace, where you no longer need noise to feel alive, where you no longer need a crowd to feel seen, where you no longer need validation to feel valuable. You are enough, your presence is enough, your wisdom is enough, and your choice to be alone might just be the wisest thing you've ever done. There is a quiet revolution happening in the hearts of the elderly, a gentle, powerful awakening. Not loud, not celebrated, but deeply real. It happens when you stop rushing, when you stop explaining. It happens when you start listening, not to others, but to yourself. And in that moment, you finally realize, your solitude is not empty, it's full of truth. Let's talk about this sacred stage of life where you're not chasing anymore, not proving, not pretending. You don't need constant company, not because you've given up, but because you've grown up. There's a difference, and it matters, the gift of time to reflect. When you're young, life is a blur. You're racing to build a career, raise children, care for parents, maintain relationships, and keep up appearances, but in old age, time finally slows down. And when it does, it gives you a chance that many people never take, the chance to reflect. You begin to look at your life not just in years, but in wisdom. You remember the lessons hidden in your struggles, you see the value of your scars. You forgive yourself for the things you didn't know then. And slowly, in that deep quiet of your own space, you become your own teacher. You ask different questions now. What really matters? Who actually loves me, not just needs me? What do I want the rest of my life to feel like? These are not easy questions. But solitude gives you the courage to sit with them without distraction. That is wisdom. You realize peace is the new success. In your 20s or 30s, success may have meant money, titles, or admiration. But now, success is being able to sleep peacefully, to wake up with a calm heart, to sit by yourself and not feel empty. It's walking into a room, not to impress anyone but to feel at home in your own skin. It's saying no without guilt. It's letting go of people who made you feel small. It's understanding that peace isn't something the world gives you, it's something you protect. And one of the best protectors of peace is solitude. You understand the value of time. In youth, we waste time like we have 1,000 years. But in your 60s, 70s, and 80s you know better. You start counting sunsets, not paychecks. You cherish slow walks, not fast cars. You want meaning, not more noise. You understand that time is not measured in minutes, it's measured in moments that matter. Moments where you felt alive. Moments where you felt whole even in silence. And guess what? Most of those moments don't require a crowd. They require presence, stillness, awareness. All things that grow best in solitude. Solitude as spiritual awakening. Many elders begin to feel something they can't fully explain, a deeper connection to life, to nature, to something beyond this world. You start noticing the birds more. You talk to your plants, you cry during a sunset. You pray not out of fear, but out of love. This isn't religious obligation, this is spiritual awakening. And it almost always begins in silence. You don't need to speak to hear God, you don't need to go to a temple to feel sacred. You are the temple, and solitude becomes your sacred ground. Your aloneness becomes not a punishment, but a place of worship. You're finally free from the opinions of others. One of the greatest gifts of aging is this: you stop caring what others think. You realize how many years you spent being nice instead of being honest. How often you said yes when your heart screamed no. How many smiles you gave to people who didn't deserve your energy, but now You set boundaries, not because you're rude but because you respect yourself. You choose silence over arguments, distance over drama, peace over popularity. And when someone tries to guilt you for staying home, for not attending every family event, or for saying less than you used to, you smile quietly, because you know the truth. You are no longer living for others' expectations, you are living for your soul. Home becomes a sanctuary. You begin to see your home differently. Not as just a house, but as a sacred, protective space. Every cushion, every photograph, every curtain holds a memory. You don't need to go out to feel alive. You are surrounded by your own life story hanging on the walls, breathing in the air. You find joy in simple routines, watering your plants, feeding the birds, listening to old songs, watching the sky change color. These aren't signs of boredom, they're signs of presence. Signs of someone who finally understands, I don't need more. I just need meaning, the misunderstood wisdom of silence. In a world that praises extroversion and loud opinions, silence is often misunderstood, but not by you. You now know that some of the wisest people say the least. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they've learned the power of saying nothing. You've realized that not every argument needs your energy, not every insult needs your reply, not every invitation needs your presence. Sometimes, your silence is your strength. Sometimes, your absence is your answer. Final reflection. Choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's sacred. Dear elder, if you find yourself spending more time alone, trust that instinct. It's not failure, it's freedom. It's not loneliness, it's liberation. You've spent a lifetime giving, sacrificing, compromising. Now it's time to return to yourself. To honor your inner world, to walk your own path, even if no one joins you. And to sit in peace, knowing that your life has not been measured by crowns, but by courage. Because in the end, what a beautiful thing it is to be older, wiser, and at peace with your own company, to have survived heartbreak and still love, to have faced solitude and still smile, to have been alone and discovered yourself. Elderly man lighting a candle at dusk, hands holding a warm teacup, close up. Leaves falling slowly, soft instrumental music. Elderly woman sitting in a rocking chair, watching the rain. A slow pan of an empty but warmly lit room.